When the first star was tapped for energy, humanity stood in collective awe of its sheer potential. Astronomers at the orbital Helios research station had perfected a method to stabilize miniature gates in the upper chromosphere of a star, siphoning plasma into immense electromagnetic traps. No one could have predicted how quickly this discovery would reshape civilization. At first, the bright filament of captured solar matter served only scientific curiosity. Analyzing stellar plasma, testing new magnetic quantum theories, and exploring alternative energy possibilities. Yet, in half a generation, these refined streams of stellar power would spark planetary-scale industrial booms and, far more ominously, a transformation of war itself. Human colonies across the solar system flourished. On Mars, once bleak terraforming efforts accelerated. Vast greenhouse domes turned blood-red deserts into farmland. Hydrogen gleaned from the Martian regolith was superheated by stellar plasma, enabling massive leaps in bioengineering. Meanwhile, on Jupiter's moons, entire mining operations relied on microfusion reactors fed by ephemeral ribbons of star stuff. Earth's environmental crisis receded as carbon-heavy industries were replaced by clean, near-limitless energy. Humanity seemed destined to unite under this new power source, until a fracture appeared along ideological lines. One faction saw the star-tapping experiment as a gift to be shared across species and borders, a means to usher in a golden era. Another faction seized upon the obvious. Such a potent resource could pave the way for weapons of staggering might. Conflicts over resource distribution soon erupted into small-scale skirmishes in Earth's orbit, as corporate military alliances rushed to claim their piece of the stellar harvest. Billions of individuals who had once applauded the rise of star energy now witnessed the militarization of what had been considered a universal blessing. In the beginning, the so-called Helios lances were used only for cosmic construction or deep space drilling, capable of boring into asteroids with instantaneous precision. But then came a chilling demonstration. An unregistered testing facility at the edge of the asteroid belt unleashed a focused starbeam on a derelict frigate. Observers saw the hull vaporize in less than a second, leaving molten droplets tumbling through the silent void. Even the vacuum of space couldn't dampen the terror that moment instilled within hours. Every major government across the solar system demanded negotiations, and in just a few days' time, the arms race had begun in earnest. Regulators pushed for universal treaties banning specialized star weapons. Politicians insisted on forging peaceful treaties. Scientists, however, found themselves caught in a crossfire of demands. Select groups sought to refine the technology for larger-scale civilian energy distribution, while well-fomented militaries demanded higher yields and more compact designs. Fear-mongering overcame reason, and clandestine labs sprang up in remote craters on Luna, or deep beneath Europa's frozen sea. Scattered rumors told of entire black ops sites near the Kuiper Belt, where warships equipped with star energy cannons prowled starless voids. A new generation of arms engineers discovered that raw solar plasma, funneled through superconducting conduits, could be manipulated using quantum fields to produce beams of intensifying resonance. A single beam could theoretically slice through planet-based fortifications, carving out entire canyons. If sustained, an arms race without parallel began. Squadrons of Helios dreadnoughts were rumored to be under construction, each one carrying enough Star-Lance turrets to cripple a planet's orbital defenses within minutes. The impetus, whoever controlled star energy militarily, controlled the fate of every known colony, every distant mining outpost, every trading route. For the first time in millennia, humanity's greatest threat wasn't resource scarcity. It was each other. Factions formed swiftly. Earth, home to the densest population, pledged to keep the peace by regulating star weapons and securing the Helios gating infrastructure. Mars, rising in power, sought independence, convinced that Earth's paternal claims would stifle their newfound prosperity. Corporate interests weighed in as well, forging private militaries. ancient allegiances crumbled, replaced by alliances sealed with megalithic shipments of plasma coils and Starlance prototypes. Yet in the shadows, a smaller but growing movement insisted that Starsif's greatest legacy was not war, but cooperation among the species populating the solar system and beyond. In the year 2179, news emerged of an alien civilization observing from beyond the heliosphere. Hushed transmissions described advanced crafts lingering near Oort cloud outposts. They arrived silently, scanning our star-siphoning technology with interest. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of contact with extraterrestrial life, anticipating either wondrous exchange or dire conflict. Now, on the verge of perfecting the ultimate weapon, humanity realized the Watchers might be equally advanced, or more so. Suddenly, a new question gripped the solar system. Were other civilizations prepared for star-based weaponry that could rival ours? Or had we outpaced the galaxy with these devastating instruments? Curiosity and paranoia intermingled. Missions dispatched to these alien crafts returned with fleeting glimpses of reflective hulls and transmissions that defied decryption. Politicians across Earth and Mars capitalized on this uncertain threat. Some argued that facing an unknown galactic presence required stronger militaries, culminating in broader budget allocations for Helios-fortified fleets. Others pleaded for caution, asserting that an arms buildup might provoke a war humanity was not prepared to fight. Propaganda soared. Documentaries, or conspiracies disguised as such, circulated widely, claiming the galaxy teemed with civilizations that had wiped themselves out by over-reliance on star energy, unleashing unstoppable chain reactions. Amid the chaos, a renegade group of scientists and diplomats joined forces. They called themselves the Conquered of Helios. Their hope lay in repurposing the technology for peaceful interstellar exploration. If we could shape entire beams of star plasma, we might also create stable wormholes for faster-than-light travel. The Conquered believed the future of star energy wasn't about forging bigger weapons, but forging deeper connections. Their clandestine operations were funded by those anxious about a second Great War looming. They established an underground base in the labyrinthine volcanic tunnels beneath Mercury's crust, a place no official government cared to watch too closely. While Mars built a fleet of Helios cruisers to match Earth's newly contracted Helios Dreadnought line, the Concorde quietly tested a device called the Helioportal Key. By manipulating gravitational waves with star plasma, they theorized they could open stable corridors in the quantum foam linking distant pockets of space. If successful, this invention promised a new method of cosmic travel, faster, more efficient, and beyond the clawing reach of militarized star lances. Yet the slightest miscalculation could tear a rift in Mercury's fragile shell, or ignite solar flares that would ravage the entire system. Tensions escalated further when word spread that the alien observers vanished from the Oort cloud. Some insisted they had merely cloaked themselves. Others suggested they withdrew in fear of humanity's rising arsenal. In retaliation, Earth launched security probes. Mars scoured the outer solar system for signs of infiltration. Suspicion toward each other only grew, each side blaming the other for letting unknown watchers slip away. Meanwhile, hidden from prying eyes, the Concorde made astonishing progress. Their first success was a brief opening, a swirling, radiant portal that flickered over Mercury's horizon, forming and collapsing within seconds. But one man stepped through it, a test pilot named Arden Solis, and did not return. Panic threatened to derail the Concorde's efforts. Some believed they had condemned a man to a lonely death. Others said there was no evidence he perished. Perhaps Arden had simply been transported too far. 3 days later, they revived the Helioportal Key and worked feverishly to replicate the dimensional breach more stably. This time, 2 explorers tethered themselves to a resonance anchor, stepping into the shimmering gateway. They emerged shortly after in a swirl of scorching wind, eyes wide with wonder. Not only had they just traversed dozens of light years in a blink, but they discovered something equally monumental. A floating city, orbiting a brilliant blue star. News of this miraculous find could not be suppressed for long. Despite the Concorde's efforts, data leaks spread like wildfire across the solar network. The idea of traveling between stars so rapidly ignited the collective imagination, but it also drew the gaze of governments seeking to control it. Earth's High Council demanded the helioportal key be turned over for system-wide security. Mars declared any attempt to seize the key as an act of aggression. The corporate powers, too, insisted it belonged to no single planetary authority, going so far as to hire mercenaries to infiltrate Mercury's tunnels. A grand standoff loomed, threatening to overshadow the key's peaceful potential. Then came the fateful day when Earth mobilized its first Helios dreadnought, the Horizon Spear, into Mercury's orbit. Every sensor array across the system recorded its arrival, an immense vessel shimmering with harnessed star-fed weaponry. Its hull bristled with arrays of electromagnetic projectors capable of delivering planet-scorching beams in seconds. Under the guise of defending Mercury from unauthorized experiments, it positioned itself in geosynchronous orbit over the suspected Concorde base. Mars retaliated by dispatching 3 Helios cruisers, each smaller but formidable. As they stationed themselves opposite Earth's dreadnought, Mercury lay caught in the crosshairs of a cosmic Mexican standoff. The tension was so thick that trade routes were rerouted and civilian vessels remained in safe orbits around Jupiter and Saturn, away from the conflict zone. Inside the Mercury base, the Concorde scientists scrambled to keep the helioportal key operational. They discovered that each activation required delicate tuning. The star plasma's resonance had to match the gravitational signature of distant cosmic coordinates. The base's corridors thrummed under the combined vibrations of magneto-resonance fields. At any moment, a stray shell or misguided star-lance beam from orbit might puncture the subterranean labs, spelling instant doom. Just as negotiations began to unfold through shaky channels between Earth's delegates and Mars's representatives, something catastrophic occurred. A sabotage unit, likely funded by a corporate interest, infiltrated Mercury's fragile network. Their interference disrupted the field stabilizers. A wave of uncontrolled star plasma arced through the facility, igniting an uncontrolled reaction in the helioportal key. The entire planet quaked with a violent spasm, sending shockwaves across Mercury's surface. From orbit, distant watchers saw columns of bright, flickering light erupt from Mercury's equatorial region, swirling with solar plasma that spat out into open space in chaotic spirals. Above, the Horizon Spear read this phenomenon as a potential attack. Its automated systems primed a Helios lance, and the dreadnought's spinal cannon glowed with charged star matter. In those fraught seconds, Mars's cruisers interpreted Earth's move as an inevitable strike. They, too, charged their weapons. A hairstring scenario took hold. If either side fired, the other would retaliate, plunging the entire solar system into a war of cosmic annihilation. Against all odds, the Concorde scientists on Mercury managed to send a single clarion signal, a broad-spectrum data packet that explained the sabotage, warned of the meltdown, and pleaded for a ceasefire to save Mercury. Earth's political envoy, alarmed by the massive energy spike, quickly transmitted an override code to the dreadnought, forcing it to stand down. Mars, recognizing Earth's hesitation, also halted its countdown to fire. In a matter of seconds, the star lances cooled. Across the system, relief soared. It was a rare instance of rational choice prevailing over the impulse to dominate. Upon the surface, the Concorde team struggled to contain the meltdown. Surges of raw, stellar plasma battered the base's bulkheads. With the helioportal key still half-facted, they concocted a desperate plan: direct the uncontrollable star flux through the wormhole and into the void of unoccupied space, thereby draining Mercury's meltdown. But stabilizing the portal required the final piece of data that only Arden's Solus lost in the first experiment had managed to record. No one knew if the raw transmissions from his suit still existed. Frenzied hacking into old system logs eventually uncovered partial data from Arden's exploration suit. It contained the frequency array for safe star-lance gating, too damaged to be certain of success. With no time left, they tried anyway. Tense moments passed as the meltdown's energy was fed into the portal. The raging columns of plasma vanished through a swirling gateway, leaving behind only a faint glow. The base fell silent, save for the hiss of cooling metals and the exhausted sighs of survivors. Against all probability, Mercury was saved, the crisis narrowly averted, a new sense of unity blossomed. In the wake of horror, both Earth and Mars recognized how close they had come to total warfare. The sabotage attempt, pinned on an extremist corporate arm, was publicly condemned by every power. Suddenly, all sides saw the danger inherent in letting Starlance arsenals decide the system's fate. Diplomats convened on a neutral platform above Venus, forging the Stellar Accord, a treaty dictating the responsible use of star-delivered energy, limiting the weaponization of Helios lances, and prioritizing research into stable portal technology. Public enthusiasm for interstellar travel spiked. The revelations of the Concorde's near success, coupled with the knowledge that at least one star city existed somewhere beyond known territory, fed imaginations everywhere. Humanity was on the cusp of a cosmic renaissance. Yet, for the next decade, progress remained slow and deliberate. A new, multi-faction council oversaw Starlance research, ensuring shared benefits while preventing clandestine weapons stockpiles. Without the impetus of fear-based competition, the pace of breakthroughs in advanced star-harnessing technology moderated, focusing more on constructive applications like advanced terraforming beams, deep space communication arrays, and stable interplanetary gates. Rumors still circulated about a secret black site beyond Pluto's orbit, where unscrupulous agents continued to refine a next-generation Starlance far more powerful than anything the Horizon Spear had ever fought. By official decree, no government would endorse such activities, but the scars left by the sabotage on Mercury lingered. Many feared that roving private gangs or extremist groups could once again spark chaos. Even with these lingering threats, a broader cultural shift took root. Schools on Earth, Mars, and throughout the colonies introduced ethics curriculum emphasizing responsibility over star energy usage. Youth from different worlds convened via immersive telepresence, forging cross-planet friendships that made war an ever more distant concept. Earth's once smog-choked skies grew clearer. Martian farms flourished under an artificial sun. Freed from the grip of resource scarcity, entire generations found new perspective in the vast cosmos. They revered the Starlance technology as a tenuous gift, a demonstration of humanity's capacity to bend nature itself, yet also a reminder of the fragility underpinning that power. As time wore on, the Helioportal Key project advanced under official sanction. Arden Solis, the lost pilot, remained a figure of mystery. Some believed he had perished in the meltdown's early tests, while others clung to hope that somewhere, across distant stars, he still lived. In quiet labs, Concorde researchers carefully refined the equations that had nearly destroyed Mercury. Each new step in gaining technology brought them closer to a controlled, reliable system for bridging the gulf to other stars. Then, 15 years after the Mercury incident, scientific outposts confirmed a set of cryptic signals from a location matching the coordinates where Arden had reportedly ventured. Distorted yet unmistakable, these signals traced back to an advanced orbital station near the same blue star the earlier team had glimpsed, and they carried fragments of a message in Arden's voice, scrambled, incomplete, but undeniably human. Worlds across the solar system paused. Even the hardened cynics in the militaries and corporate conglomerates felt a thrill of wonder. Several helioportal keys, now more refined and stable, were assembled in a Mercury facility, newly repaired and safeguarded. In a historic ceremony captured by 1 million camera drones, a joint expedition team composed of Earth, Mars, and Concorde representatives prepared to step through the gate. Warships with Helios lances remained on high alert, but it was clearly a different era. The bridging of worlds, not their destruction, was the prime objective. As the whirling portal shimmered into existence, each participant felt awe at the power harnessed for exploration rather than annihilation. Star plasma glowed along finely tuned conduits as gravitational waves throbbed in unison. This time, the breach opened smoothly, its edges stable and welcoming. With measured steps, the expedition team entered, determined to discover the city glimpsed by the first travelers and to learn what fate had befallen Arden Solus. A hush descended on the crowd as the last explorer vanished into that radiant threshold. Moments later, the portal curled shut, leaving watchers in silent reflection. Freed from centuries of scarcity and the frantic thrashing of ill-conceived wars, humanity's path forward now gleamed with shared purpose. Perhaps the watchers beyond the Oort cloud understood the significance all along. Perhaps they had withheld their own technologies until we proved ourselves ready. Perhaps the greatest sign of readiness was not in forging unstoppable weapons, but in demonstrating mercy and collaboration at the precipice of cosmic doom. In that silent aftermath, warships remained in orbit, star lances still formidable. Yet, for the first time since humanity had harnessed star plasma, their presence felt more like a precaution than a harbinger of mass destruction. The system's inhabitants, from the megacities of Earth to the dust-blown domes of Mars, and the research outposts on distant moons, looked skyward with hope. The future was no longer defined solely by the fires of war, but by a renewed aspiration to break beyond old limitations, guided at last by the unifying power of the very stars that had once threatened to tear them apart.